He stopped and turned, recognizing her at once. She could tell by the way he stiffened in reaction. He didn't seem at all pleased to see her, but he turned and came back down the steps and began walking toward her. Sarah resisted an urge to meet him halfway. It would hardly be seemly, but more important, she didn't want to appear as eager as she felt. She set her medical bag on the front step and waited with apparent patience. "Good morning, Mrs. Brandt," he said when he reached her. His expression was resigned and a little reserved, but that did not deter her in the least. "I assume the Blackwell baby has been born." "Good morning, Mr. Malloy," she replied. "Yes, baby and mother are doing as well as we could expect, considering Dr. Blackwell was murdered right in their home." He sighed. "I should have known you'd find out all about it. But don't start thinking you're going to be involved. You won't have time anyway. I'll have the killer locked up by sunset." "You know who it is, then?" she asked in surprise. "Are you on your way home now?" he asked, ignoring her question. "I can get you a cab." "They're bringing the carriage around for me," she said, undeterred. "I suppose you know that Dr. Blackwell was a magnetic healer and that he supposedly healed his wife after she was crippled in a riding accident." If this was new information, he gave no indication. "What exactly does a magnetic healer do?" he asked instead. "I'm not certain. It has something to do with laying his hands on people and curing them of whatever is wrong." "How could he make someone well just by touching them?" Malloy asked. "Oh, there must be more to it than that, but I'm sure they keep their actual techniques a secret. It's the only way to prevent others from doing the same thing they do and stealing their patients." "But people really get well?" he asked, doubtfully. "Presumably, or these so-called doctors couldn't stay in business. The fact is that most people eventually get well from whatever is wrong with them if they believe strongly enough that they will, even with no treatment at all. These charlatans have the advantage of people wanting to believe their treatments will work, no matter how ridiculous they are. When someone gets well, they tell their friends, and people have even more confidence in the healer." "So, who do you think killed Dr. Blackwell?" Malloy's lips twitched, as if he were holding back a smile. "Nice try, Mrs. Brandt, but you're not getting involved in this one. Go home, get some sleep, and forget all about Dr. Blackwell's death." "Just exactly how do you propose I forget about it?" she asked, genuinely interested. "Think about something else," he suggested. "I hear your carriage. It was nice to see you again, Mrs. Brandt. Good day." He tipped his hat and turned away, even though Sarah was far from finished with him. She wanted to stamp her foot in protest, but such a gesture would only amuse him. "Thank you for sending for me, Malloy," she called after him. He turned back, not bothering to hide his smile this time. "I needed a midwife, and you're the only midwife I know." Sarah glared at him, but her effort was wasted. He was already walking away. She wasn't really angry, though. She enjoyed their sparring, and she knew he did too. And she also knew she had a good reason to stay involved with the case. She'd be back tomorrow morning to check on Mrs. Blackwell and her baby. Then she'd find out if Malloy was as good as his word about finding the killer by sunset.